तिनक धिन धागे न 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 तिनक धिन.
Every day I wake, I make my mind up. I'ma be the one, be the truth, be the way. Yeah. Every day I wake, I make my mind up. Gotta keep my mind on the because they only telling their side of the story. Out here telling lies like they on Morid. And poor rich kids get their money on phone it. But down here in the hood, yeah, we know Forex. We growing up, yeah. We got the goods. Good of them assets, good of my bag. Get rid of cash before the whole market crash. A news flash, just a blast from the past. We on the smash now. Be prepared to hit the gas, yeah.
Heal the land, get the wealth, change your name up. Get the title in your hands, switch the game up. Melanation, elevation, arise. We divide, blood eye, and we travel.
Drive.
Blood eye, and we travel.
Woo. That's my child. Woo.
Blood eye, and we travel. Hey, hey, hit him with the high, yeah. Sherry Lou, I got from Virginia. Yeah.
I know I'm more because I'm blessed. I know I'm more. I passed the test.
We got to see with the true eyes. We need some brand new bright ideas. We got the hearts and some great minds, yeah. If we could all just be sincere.
Heal the land, get the wealth, change your name up. Get the title in your hands, switch the game up. Melanation, elevation, arise. We divide, blood eye, and we travel.
Drive.
Blood eye, and we travel.
Woo. That's my child. Woo.
Blood eye, and we travel. Heal the land, get the wealth, change your name up. Get the title in your hands, switch the game up. Melanation, elevation, arise. We divide, blood eye, and we travel. Hey, hey, hit him with the high, yeah.
Peace to the party. Shalom, boy. Back again. Hey, we done made it to a new commercial year, y'all. Y'all let me know in the chat. Make sure y'all can hear me. I just reconnected my mic. You know, we've been off for a couple weeks, you know, but I'm back. We had an initiative trying to get to over 10,000 subscribers, and y'all helped us do it. So definitely appreciate that. So before we get to the Sunday service and get to the lecture of the day, we talking about how Rome destroyed Israel. But and it's gonna be a good one, by the way. But we got to start off with some recent some stuff that just popped out the other day. They say the boy Trump gone crazy with the whole Venezuela situation. So you know, I've just been searching my socials, doing what I do, doing research, reading articles, seeing what the narrative is from all sides, right? And for my people specifically, boy, it's the ignorance is crazy, and it's fueled by following the Democratic side. Now, y'all know over here, we autonomous. We don't go for one side or the other. We break all things down, but we specifically focus on the political parties that target us as to be their voting base, which would be the Democrats. All right, so check it out. Trump just pulled off some military action in Venezuela. And you got a lot of people talking crazy. So, you know, we had to get to the truth of the matter. But first, let's go over here what Trump say. Hear from his mouth. Then we're going to break some things down and kind of go from there. So let's take it over to the press conference he did the other day.
Thank you very much. This is big stuff. And we appreciate you being here. Late last night, and it was dark and it was deadly, but captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, it's Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens.
Okay, so let's recap. Okay, so out of his own mouth is what we're gonna judge him by in the actions, right? He said that he mentioned the oil, because I see a lot of people saying, man, they didn't care nothing about the drugs, it's about the oil. Well, definitely that play a part. Like, that's people act like that's a conspiracy theory when they come with that. Like, let's not get this twisted. This is about business. This is about countries being dominant. You feel what I'm saying? Right now, Venezuela has. See, we're gonna break this down a little later, but just because you have something doesn't mean that you have what it takes to actually monetize it. So, for example, yes, there is oil within the ground, but you can't just go over there with no buckets and fill up. That's not how this works. You got to drill for it. That take money. That take collaboration. You have to put that in place. They used to be able to do so for a certain regime, but we gonna break that down. So that is a facet of it, right? The oil. But then you also got the fact that Venezuela, right next to Colombia, they've been tied to bringing that dope into America through these cartels, okay, which is a problem, which is why America has another interest, because, okay, the oil, that's legitimate. But then we also do have a drug problem that really only benefits the cartels. They come in, use our people to get it distributed throughout America. Them people go face real prison time when they get caught. A lot of times because these cartels give them up to protect themselves. All right. But that's a whole nother story. But then these cartels is running governments to be able to bring the drugs in. This is what they have been saying about Venezuela. And they ain't come from Trump. You got to do your research. This is why we do what we do. This has been a long-standing American thing that they knew what was going on. All right. So that's why it was funny to me. I knew all of that before really doing any real research, just from hearing Venezuela, this, that, and the third. So then I hear the reaction from the people. It's kind of two-sided. You got some people who are from Venezuela saying that, I know if y'all heard of this already, y'all would have seen the stories of people celebrating in the street. Obviously, you can search on TikTok and find people talking. So I see those who was like, yeah, we got to get Buddy out of here. He was tripping. Our country poor, and they didn't ran it into the ground. All right. And then you got people in America, mostly who are with a liberal view, are going crazy as if Buddy trying to go colonize Venezuela, take the people by force, this, as if it has no business being tended to by America, when the whole time that they definitely do bring the drugs in to America. That's the tie number one. And then it's just for a country. Hell yeah. Why would we not want South America to get oil to help us versus helping China and Russia? Like, sometimes y'all make it too deep and on why somebody would want to do something. This ain't a fairy tale. This is about assets and reserves. This is how a country grows. We are in competition with other countries, bro. I hate to break this to y'all. But that just, if you ain't believe that, then you really just too naive to understand how this works. But that don't always mean, put it like this. Are you willing to give up everything that you have here for another country to take it over and you switch spots with them? I highly doubt it. But you can have it and just go and move over there and do your thing. But let's listen to a couple of these viewpoints. First, let's listen to the woman from Venezuela. Let's let her break it down real quick.
A season where we don't have electricity, like in your area, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you are not going to have electricity in your house from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. And on Wednesday, for 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we live with that for so long. Same with the water. The water is coming just 1 hour, 12 to 1. You need to take all the water that you need at that time to drink, to clean, to shower, to do everything in 1 hour. We won't need to say goodbye anymore to our families in the airport. Tell them, see you soon, knowing that it's a lie, because you don't know how long it will happen until you see them again. We celebrate them because we grow up normalizing things that could never be normal, like going to the supermarket and don't find nothing on it, like have all the money that you have in your pockets, but you want to buy food and it's no food in there, knowing that you need to go and do lines at 4 a.m. in the morning, huge lines to get a bag with food, knowing that it's no medicines in the pharmacy and you need to find antibiotics in Facebook, narco-terrorism, corruption. He stole billions of dollars. He killed a bunch of innocent people in protest. He put on jail. He tortured. Venezuela have one of the biggest torture places, recruitments in the world. Yeah, that very old wise, he's still doing that. He destroyed every democratic institution that can exist in Venezuela. We vote. We have presidential election and he lose and he don't want to leave the power. So what's no other way to take him out? I am more than happy because we tried everything. This was like our last hope. This is what we was waiting for and finally happened. And I am more happy because I feel was a smooth intervention. I thought was going to be more chaotic like with Panama years ago, but no, they reached 2 a.m. in the morning. By 3 a.m. they take the man out. They don't kill nobody. It's not even a civil person dead. So yeah, I am. A lot of people asking about the oil. All the Venezuelans know that Trump is doing this because the oil. We know this. We know that Trump is not doing this because I love Venezuelans and I care so much about them. We know that it's about the oil. But we are right now giving our oil to China and Russia and we don't see benefits from it. The country is destroyed. We have nothing. We need to leave and run away and live somewhere else because there's no opportunities there. If the United States want to go back and do it, but it's China, Russia, whatever doing right now, go back. Because when the United States was there and was Halliburton and all these American companies in Venezuela, we were rich, we have money, we have opportunities, we have everything. All the Venezuelans that leave the country because this man and this man regime can go back home. You don't have idea of all the Venezuelans that want to go back home. You think like we love that in Trinidad they tell us Venice go back home or they treat us bad. It's not just in Trinidad, sorry. This is like across the world because I understand we are everywhere. We are everywhere because we was forced to be everywhere except home. I had more comments to answer, but a lot of the questions are about the oil, so I want to tell you this. Put yourself on the shoes of an actual Venezuelan person. Put yourself in my dad's shoes that worked through years to build something, that study hard and work hard, and then one day for the other lose everything, have no job and have no option because at his age, he cannot leave the country and start to work somewhere else because he's an old person, right? He don't lose just his job. He don't lose just the money. He lose his family because he can see his daughter just one time per year because his daughter need to leave the country to look for a better future. And this is not...
Hey, so she said put yourself in her shoes, right? And it's funny because today we breaking down exiles, expulsions. Like, y'all don't understand that history repeats itself. But when you don't know the real playbook, you'll find yourself rooting for the same thing that oppressed our people in the first place, which is a whole bunch of propaganda. We now have the benefit of being able to so-called fact check things in real time, right? Like if something happens in the city of Dallas, Texas, and you happen to know somebody that actually lived there, they can't just tell you, oh, the whole town was destroyed, but they could in the 1300s. You see what I'm saying? So times have advanced in that way, but it also works on the opposite of that. Whereas right now we've seen, I'm pretty sure on your social media, somebody can put out an AI blog, article, or an actual video or picture now, and you will have a community of people who believe it to be the truth, right? So I see somebody in the chat, he say, we need to, there's other Venezuelans who would say different things. Let me tell you what they wouldn't say though. The facts say that Venezuela used to be a very, as far as in their region, they was booming at one point in time because of the way that they were distributing their natural resources, the way they was bringing their money in for their country. But then that changed with a certain regime. You can go do the research, right? But before we get to that, I want y'all to hear the other side. We gotta play both sides, right? So this for you, Create. So this Jasmine Crockett right here. Let's see what she got to say about it.
Let me just level set really quickly. Just so y'all know, my staff is looking to see what comments and questions you have so that they can send that over so that I can try to be as responsive as possible. Number one, anything that happens from here on out as it relates to Democrats, I feel confident in saying that universally, we are not taking quote unquote the side, because I absolutely imagine that the Republicans are going to be like, oh, the Democrats love dictators. And it's like, clearly we don't, because like we not vibing with you, bro. But like, that is not what it is. This is about process. This is about our Constitution. And it is about the precedent that it sets when you start to do things like this, as well as putting American lives in danger. That is what it is about. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of dictators in this world. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. And frankly, I don't look at Trump as like Captain Save-A-Ho. I'm just saying, like, that's not what he does, right? So I think that he made it clear that this was not about the Venezuelan people and about doing something for them. Because mind you, he decided that like the Enemy Aliens Act needed to be enacted and actually revived from the dead, because it's like a 1700 law, right? So that he could actually kick Venezuelans out. So I'm just saying, like, I don't think that this is the guy that has really cared very much about Venezuelans, because he's saying it's such a terrible place, but yeah, we ain't got no space for you. And he's saying that it's so terrible that he had to go in and he had to do this, but we're going to kick people back. Actually, you're making the argument that asylum may have been something that was real, that they actually needed. Like, don't mistake for 2 seconds. And he's not even going to try to. I think the Republicans will try to justify this. And so I think that the talking points that they will have will be, this is about the Venezuelan people and freeing them. And this isn't normally what we do in that way. But nevertheless, he has made it clear that this is about oil. Oil. So for all the people that felt like they were voting for somebody that was looking out for them, I'm just saying it's the oil people. I remember the coverage of him having these oil magnates at Mar-a-Lago, you know, $1 million plate fundraiser or something like that. I remember those headlines. I do. I can't tell y'all when it was. It was before the election, but I remember that was a big part of it. And it is clear that some people definitely made out better with their investments than others. And when I say others, I mean the rest of us. Like, clearly I didn't invest in this candidate, but at the end of the day, I actually do feel really bad for people that believed that this man was going to put them first. I do. Now, I know a con when I see one. And so I know what it is, not to mention like his history, but like for people that actually believed, and to have this be what they receive is kind of wild. From the Epstein drama to the economy and tearing it apart to getting us into more wars and claiming that you're like the president of peace. So that's my 2 cents. I'm gonna get to y'all's questions because I'm sure you have more exciting things to do as it relates to this Saturday morning.
Hey, so Craig, you let me know in the chat. He said he's from the region, he know the politics. So tell me if this part is not true then. So right now you heard Jasmine Crockett, you heard her take on it, right? Which doesn't make sense to me, because this didn't seem to be a partisan issue, because the Democrats were supporting and saying Buddy needed to be addressed. Obama brought this up. Obama talked about this man was a problem and really put him on the list when he was in office. All right. Listen, people close to him have been indicted, bro. All right, so watch this here. This is the part that's crazy when folks just really get to talking. Of course, that man Trump ain't never get up there and say, we listen to what he was saying out of his mouth. This wasn't for the people of Venezuela. That man said he was going over there to stop the drugs and to take over the oil. Like, and then everybody acting like it's a secret. He literally said it. And then it makes sense for the country to do. Listen, if they was already booming off the oil and taking care of the country, this would have never, it'd be a whole different story. If Craig, you come in here, you tell me, you say you from the region. So was Maduro taking care of the people? Because it don't look like that was happening in the country based on the GDP, based on the actual numbers, not my opinion. Right. So we can say matter of fact, Biden had the program. We broke this down. CHNV just for Venezuela. It wasn't just for Venezuela, but they was one of the main countries to where they could come into America to seek asylum. Jasmine Crockett just mentioned it, right? So Obama initially started trying to get after Maduro. He didn't succeed, but he at least started the paperwork. Well, I can't say that because they got a couple of them locked up. His wife's nephews, they got so they got hit with Fed time for the distribution, right? They had a RICO on them or something. When Biden get in office, he released them. So I know y'all will think I'm lying. So hold on real quick. Let's get to this. Because I don't want y'all to think homeboy lying to you. Watch this. All right, so right here, this is how he got his indictment. So they just recently so-called unsealed the Justice Department indictment against Maduro. They say he ran a corrupt, illegitimate government fueled by an extensive drug trafficking operation that flooded the U.S. with thousands of tons of cocaine. So that's why they got him and his wife, because the nephews that got arrested years ago that Biden released are from her side of the family. Okay, her people is from closer to Colombia. She probably the plug, and he because this is his second wife. He probably married her strictly for business purposes for them to run this empire. Okay, so don't act like we ain't never heard this before. Like we ain't never heard the fact that they got the drugs over there, and this is a big trade for them to be able to get into America, the number one consumer of said drugs. Like y'all gotta stop acting like this stuff is just like it's unfathomable to be true, bro. You know what I'm saying? So they had him on charges. This is why they got him and his wife. They've had other people that were a part of the government with them. Like, bro, here go to right here from the Department of Justice. This stuff easy to find. Maduro and 14 current and former Venezuelan officials charged with narco terrorism. This from 2020, bro. Okay, so they was building upon each other. They always were agreeing that national security, budding them was an issue, being that they're so close to America. This ain't Africa we talking about. They right on the next continent. You see what I'm saying? So this is an issue. There's nobody with common sense who's from America who wouldn't say that drugs coming into this country are issue. We don't produce none of these drugs here. The only one that we could produce, which is marijuana, and you see how they acting on us with that. Every other one of these drugs is coming from a pharmacy or coming from across the water. We don't produce it. Whether you white, black, whatever the case, we don't produce this, bro. Okay? Some things just really is common sense for us to be able to have a conversation like, how'd you mad with Buddy for accomplishing this? And the crazy part is they brought him in alive so he could stand trial. They ain't even kill him. So, I mean, hey, this is why it's important for us to do our own research, have our own thought process on this. Because when you go and research things, if I'm in this position, I do the same thing. It's gonna make him look good with the people of Venezuela because he handled the issue they couldn't handle, clearly. Then obviously now we get oil for the US. This is the whole point. Yeah, China is the one who's owning their oil. And with this, China is just running up a bag and don't care nothing about what's going on in Venezuela. They could be allies, but there's still competition. So guess what? If we can get that, which we should, because that's South America, we the big homies, why would we not? This real like Monopoly. This is not a game. This is what it is. Now, I can understand a lot of y'all upset with America and being here. Well, guess what? Leave, bro. But you don't know the gold mine you sitting on, especially if you don't know your history. But hey, we finna get into the lecture, bro. We finna take it over and show you why these things are of importance. These tactics are not new. They just broadcasted on every network and all these different mediums to get it out real time. But the strategies are as old as time. You hear me? So hey, look, we finna take it over here. Get ready for the lecture. First, we're gonna hear from the Gullah Mass Choir. All right, we're gonna hear from the Gullah Mass Choir, and then we're gonna take it over to the lecture.
They changed our names, but the truth still lives.
Some say we came from far away. Some say we've always been right here. Two stories at the same doorway, both chasing what our hearts hold dear.
Old maps, new maps, who's to say? We just want the truth that they erase.
Two roads, one people,
Still searching for the name they stole.
baby, baby. Two roads, one people,
Still walking back to what we know.
oh, we rise together. No matter which path we chose, no, no, no. Two roads, one people,
Still coming home.
still coming home.
Some want unity to heal the pain. Some want records to clear the lies. But either way, we break the chains and lift the story they deny. Lineage, memory, same heartbeat, just different ways to find our feet.
One people,
Still searching for the name they stole. Oh, two roads,
one people,
still walking back to what we know. Oh, we rise, no matter which path we chose. Oh, no, no, two roads, one people, still coming home. Still coming home.
we remember.
We remember.
We remember who we are.
They turned our nations into colors, but the truth kept living in our bones. Every step we take uncovers the road that leads us back home. One people still searching for the name they stole. Two roads, one people still walking back to what we know. Oh, we rise, no matter which path we chose. Oh, two roads, one people, still coming home. 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 They try to write us out the pages, but truth don't die, it just waits. And generations hear its echo underneath the things they change.
Way before they painted pictures white, the story traveled overseas in light. Exiles running from the Inquisition's fire, carrying covenant and ancient choir. Moorish shades in the Amsterdam rain, brown-skinned rabbis with Iberian names. Men that say, open up the book again, said the tribes were living on American plains. Well,
Copper sons, tawny daughters, walked this land before the borders. Everybody knew the signs, everybody felt the line.
hidden Hebrew in the land, we were written in the sand. From the islands to the Carolinas, same blood, same fire, same promise inside us. If they cover up the truth, still the truth gon' rise again. Hidden Hebrew in the land, you can hear it in the wind. Cromwell reading Hope of Israel, saw the prophets and the stories we tell. Said the nations on this copper ground look like Spain's Jews when the sun went down. Puritan eyes saw a mirror too. Old Testament ways in the native crew. Drums like song, smoke like prayer. Memories speaking through the sun-kissed air.
We ain't new to this land.
How we been here from the start.
We ain't strangers to the Lord. Heaven branded on the heart.
Hidden Hebrew in the land. We were written in the sand. From the islands to the Carolinas. Same blood, same fire, same promise inside us. If they cover up the truth, still the truth gon' rise again.
Hidden Hebrew in the land.
Yeah.
You can hear it in the wind.
John Locke opened doors in the southern pines, gave freedom to the Jew in the Carolina line. So Sephardic seas met the maroon tribes, mixed the prayers with the river tides. Color tongues with that Geula flame, still the same people though they changed our name. From Suriname heat to the low country sand, that Hebrew root kept holding the land. Oh,
They try to bury what we carry, try to hide it in the maps. But the drums remember stories that the textbooks won't unwrap.
lift your voice, let the truth run free. We the ones they said we couldn't be. Every exile finds their shore. We've been home forever, and Hebrew in the land. We were written in the sand. From the islands to the Carolinas. Same blood, same fire, same promise inside us. Truth don't break and truth don't bend. Spirit knows its way back in.
Hidden Hebrew in the land.
Let the choir say amen.
Start to feel alone. I just play your voice loud. Then I say before things change. Now I read the message you sent, trying to tune out when you say I know you love me, but if you just forget about us.
Hey, check, we back. I ain't gonna lie, I was in the back, had to get me a plate. Boy, they going crazy. Shout out to the Gunner Man Choir. Hey, look. Hey, hold on. Shout out my boy real quick. George Myers, he say, Trump gov get paid from drugs too. They going to take over Venezuela oil country facts. Hey, well, first off, appreciate the super chat. Secondly, definitely agree about the oil. The drugs, ain't no telling that old. The reason why they locking up all the cartels and things now because they don't need the drug trade no more. Big Pharma done took that over. So that's why I personally don't think they're gonna do business. It just don't benefit. That business model is over with. You know what I'm saying? But definitely I agree with you on the oil. Appreciate that super chat, bro. You've been rocking with us. So as I always appreciate that support. So look, we got Matt, we got 9 Ether. We finna get into this about how Rome destroyed Israel. All right, so hold on, let's see. We got some more comments. Antoine said, I play that song while driving. Hey, appreciate the support, bro. Little Man's Choir. Little Man's Choir going crazy. But yeah, once again, shout out to George Myers. So Matt, 9, y'all flash on camera when you're ready. And we get it popping. And we'll go from there.
Mic check, mic check. Yo.
I blanked out. You can hear me?
Yeah, you blanked out. Is it me? Can you hear me?
Nah, that was on me actually.
Okay, but y'all hear me though. Make sure we live. We
Nah,
live.
you good. You good.
Word. You hear some music in the background?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, man, I can't help that. I can't help that tonight, y'all. So
it ain't overpowered. We gonna rock.
Okay. I'm making sure everybody's straight though. So I'm doing my best. We got so much going on over here on Sis Trump tonight. You heard me, Monte?
Yeah, it's Sis Trump, bro.
Yeah, man, Sis Trump, man. Sis Trump and knife. Y'all make sure y'all pop up on this in the weekend of February 28th. You know what I mean? That's that last Saturday, Black History Month. You heard me? So Maroonville weekend, we're gonna be on Sis Trunk and Knife heavy. We got a lot of things popping here. You know what I mean? We on Sis Trunk and Knife. Shout out to Checkmate, Blueprint Recordings, a lot of stuff going on. I'm in one of the offices actually. Shout out to Chef Mark. He let me, you know what I mean? Because all the stuff we got going on, I ain't gonna lie. So either way, video shoot going on and shit right now. You know what I'm saying too right now. So it's like, either way, I'm stepping aside though to do this because we live. Shout out, it's the first joint of the 26. You know what I mean? Coming out in the 26. You heard me? I want y'all to know Thomas Party. The harsh reality is, you see, the harsh reality is live life autonomously. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta be real with y'all. When the last time we saw y'all though, we was dealing with when you addressed the dude on X, you know what I'm saying, with the Friedman joint, and he was talking about Candace Owens, you know what I mean? And just like how it was viral right now, what's going on with Trump, you know what I'm saying, in Venezuela, I guess people weren't worried about it as much when, you know what I mean, Obama did it, you know what I'm saying? But of course, right now, it's the same thing going on with us dealing with like selective outrages in a lot of ways in what they call the Black community, you know what I'm saying? And history will allow us not to have so selective. We can just be straight up about this is this and that's that and keep it moving. So Candace Owens said something that sparked what Homeboy reacted to, and we reacted to him, but I don't want nobody to think we being biased, so we're gonna react to Candace Owens' statement as well. You know what I mean? Because everybody's talking about it, black, white, Jewish, non-Jewish, etc. You know what I'm saying? And that's just, I find it interesting because the history of Israel, Yisrael, you know what I'm saying, goes back to Jacob, Yaakov, you know what I mean, being called that in the Bible, right? But in recent day time, see, it's recent in history, and that's why all these things matter, because there's recent things going on with the name, and there's things back then with the name. But we got to understand something. Rome's the referee. So being Rome's the referee, that's why I had to go ahead and say, Rome is the one on the record saying they destroyed Israel. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to make sure, like, now, the people who will be tied to being in exile, tied to Rome, is very interesting because there's a continuality of things from then to now. And it's interesting how that lays out selective outrage, you know what I'm saying, that people have about it. So with that being said, the harsh reality of live life autonomously. It's your boy, Gullah Matt. Shout out to the GMC, Homeboy with the news. I know we got 9 before we go into it. Is 9 ready, or you want me? You want to?
Yeah, I see him on camera. I'm gonna bring him up.
Continuality of things.
Yo.
Yo. And it's interesting how that lays out. Selective outrage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, 9, turn off your other side.
Autonomously, your boy, Gullah Matt. Shout out to the GMC. Oh, he listening to us live.
Yeah, he listening. Yeah, he listening on the other device. Gotta be.
Yeah.
I got you muted now, bro. When you switch it off, unmute yourself.
Yeah, you gotta switch it out. Shout out to Nine Ether. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, me and Nine on Clubhouse and how we be building this stuff, social conversations, all of the things we talk about, lead to what led us to say, you know what, man, we did just cover Manifest Destiny, you know what I mean? And we were talking about Black America's joint, you know what I mean? Ethnogenesis. And we obviously, that was the clip you played during the recent news part. You heard me, Monte? That's why I was like, we got to come back and clear this up with just a little bit more detail about that specific situation in this conversation. So, everybody that's here with us tonight, we appreciate you live for tapping in with us, or even after the fact. Like, share, subscribe. You heard me? We appreciate y'all for tapping in. You know what I mean? So, when Nine's ready, like I said, I want to make sure we get it right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, he's not ready yet.
Nah. Let's rock with the. You want to play the video?
Yeah, let's go so everybody get the context of why we here and having this conversation on it, so everybody can catch the context. So go ahead.
I bet. Here we go.
Contract lords. I challenge Black Americans to wake up to your true history, because your quarrel is not with white men. Okay, wake up to who publishes these books and keeps us warring with one another. Christians versus Christians, right? Christians versus Muslims. Wake up and learn the true history of slavery, because that wasn't exactly a white men sport, okay? Jewish people were the ones that were trading us. Jewish people were in control of the slave trade. They've buried a lot of it, but it's there, and you can find it.
That shit been going viral, y'all. I know y'all been watching that. I know y'all seen it out there.
Crazy. People been jumping on her for multiple reasons. You know what I'm saying?
It got multi-layers to it. That's why I'm like, yo, we gotta address what's really how this work is in history. We've been talking about it. You know, I've been talking about Rome from when we came back. You heard me? So the time when we come back, I'll be talking about Rome. And it's crazy because I've been talking about Rome and the freedmen. Like even the term freedmen is tied to people being tied to Rome. You know what I'm saying? And it's interesting that people today don't understand the foundation of some of the terms we use today that go back to things that tie to Rome. So, I mean, you know, since they're the referee and they destroyed a couple different groups, non-biased, you know what I mean? It was just business. Nah, you there?
Yeah, you can hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you loud.
Yeah, my mic was off and my phone is cracked, so I had to turn it around.
Real talk.
So I ain't gonna be able to mute myself, but I'll keep it quiet.
No,
but I'm loud and clear though.
Nah, we can hear you. Yeah, you good.
All right. Shout out Monte, brother with the news. Shout out Max. Shout out everybody watching. Get cooking. I'm following.
Yeah, so we decided to be non-biased about it and just do a Roman time frame on what Rome and how Rome calculates what they did with the term that everybody has been talking about, which she's been definitely heavily covering, tied to Israel. Without the why they say Israel, right? So let's get to the people. You know what I'm saying? Let's get down to Rome and well, you got another clip real quick. Play that clip too, so everybody can get two sides of it. We ain't gonna be biased about it. Let's hear what the guy had to say in reaction to it.
Say that
and this will be from somebody that wouldn't be like this. Go ahead.
Like dominated the Atlantic slave trade, which isn't true. First of all, there's plenty of books about the slave trade that doesn't even talk at all about Jews, which I guess is why people say, like, you see, the Jews are trying to keep it out of the books. Yes, there were Jews that don't. Involved in owning slaves, and maybe even some involved in the slave trade.
I think it's important to be aware and be honest about your history. Just because there were Jews who owned slaves doesn't mean the Jews ran the slave trade.
Everybody owned slaves. It's crazy to say that the Jews were the ones that really made the slave trade a thing. Like that didn't happen.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'll make sure everybody caught that, right? He said that didn't happen. So now now this is a guy who's not as viral as Candace Owens, right?
Nah.
Candace Owens said what she said about it. And it's like half truths on both sides almost. But he said something about the Sephardic Jew. He mentioned the Sephardic Jew. So he said it's not true, but then the Sephardic Jew is tied to it. So did the Sephardic Jew do something, or did it do something? Yeah, everybody was enslaved, so everybody was getting enslaved, right? So I mean, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute now. Wait. Who's the Sephardic Jew? Who's the Sephardic?
He made sure to mention that part.
Yeah, who's the Sephardic Jew? He don't look like a Sephardic Jew. I don't know if y'all caught that, but
they don't know what a Sephardic Jew look like.
Maybe they don't know what a Sephardic Jew look like.
Yeah.
Maybe, and that's why we need to straighten out some things with that, right? You know what I mean? So what I wanted to do with that is, you can go to my first joint. I have them in order, right? You got them in order for me tonight, like that?
Yeah. So it's I did it up.
Okay then.
When you see it, you should know, where we at with it.
Where I'm at with it. Okay, let me go ahead and scroll to my joint then.
So basically, just outline what you try to get them to understand today, based on the title and what you the lecture.
Well, in a chronological order, I want to show a continuality. I heard that the other day. I like how they said it too. Continuality of things, right? A chain of events, historically, not religiously, but it's just history, tied to a people, tied to a thing called Israel. And how even after that situation happens, we have, you know what I'm saying, things going on in that manner. You feel me? Where it don't stop after the Rome destroys Israel. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think that's why I wanted to make sure that right there was laid out in that kind of way. You know what I'm saying? So timeline, we're gonna walk it real quick. I ain't gonna spend too much time on like walking up to that right there, because I wanted just to be clear. You know what I mean? For anybody that come back and say, all these things. So I got my layout, and my layout's gonna, this is how you got it right here. It's probably just for everybody just to see what's going on, right? But this is what we got to understand. So now, boom. 509 to 27 BCE, the Roman Republic. It says, basically for 450 years, Rome functioned as a republic. It had a senate, you know what I'm saying? It elected magistrates and no emperor. No emperor yet. As is in practice, it operated as a military financial oligarchy. Now, in 63 BCE, we're skipping up, military occupation of Judea. Get the time frame right when you walk the line. You know what I'm saying? 63 BCE is Roman military occupation of Judea. You see what I'm saying? Like some people might say Trump in the United States of America is occupying Venezuela.
Yeah, that's a good correlation right there. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, boom. 27 BCE, you know what I'm saying? Rome becomes an empire, the turning point. You know what I mean? Giving you the timeline, right? So within this, the Roman Senate granted Gaius Octavius the title Augustus. This is when this comes about. This is Rome. They're the referee. 27 BCE, Israel enters imperial rule, which means at this development of Rome becoming how it becomes, and we get to 27 BCE, this is when Rome has imperial rule over the jurisdiction of what they call Judea. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Judea, you know what I mean? And the temple, it is in that jurisdiction that everybody talks about. So it says Judea was now inside a true empire, not a republic. So after 27 BCE, they're not in the republic ideal of forming, dealing with this now empire situation. They're dealing with a republic before that. But at this point, they're dealing with the empire. You know what I'm saying? Rome's the referee. You know what I mean? Now, within that, understand this. Israel had no covenantal sovereignty. So at this point, in 27 BCE, the situation of covenant and them having this, what we call a very religious conversation about Israel and all that right now, yeah, as having a full governance situation, they don't have it no more. See what I mean? They don't have it no more. It's out of there. You know what I mean? Rome is going to tell you this. Daniel 7 says that Rome is the beast. You know what I'm talking about? Dealing with this situation, if you want to get prophetic about it. But however, you know what I mean? So again, Israel now existed under a pagan, defied emperor system. You know what I mean? So 27 BCE, lock that in. 70 CE. Everybody like to talk about 70 CE. That's the time of the Second Temple, the destruction of the Second Temple, etc. Destruction of Jerusalem and the Second Temple. Roman forces destroyed Jerusalem and the Second Temple. Worship ended, and the priesthood collapsed. This is going to be in 70 CE. Now, we're not in BCE no more. We in 70 CE. I'm walking up for a reason. Get these timelines right. 132 to 135 CE, Bar Kokhba revolt and legal erasure, right? Rome crushed the Bar Kokhba revolt. Yahudi, that's where they're being called by Rome and everybody else at this time frame. Not even really using the term Israel, but on the timeline of their jurisdiction, of anybody tied to that, they ain't got it after this point. We're going to show more. Now look, post 70 to 135 AD, this is going to be in the first century. Yahudi diaspora routes, Judean refugees fled primarily into Roman Mediterranean world, which is going to be Egypt, which is Alexandria, Cilicia, which is going to be Libya, Carthage, you know what I mean, Tunisia, Numidie, Mauritania, take you all the way out to Morocco, Iberia, we know that's Southern Europe today, Spain and Portugal, Al-Andalus, Southern Italy, Asia Minor, and Arabia. So after the 70 AD in that Bar Kokhba revolt that took place in what they call today Judea, Palestinian. Yeah, because after Rome destroyed it, they changed the name, by the way. That's how we get Palestine. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, Monte, if you can show that real quick too, because it's right there. Matter of fact, that's what I'm talking about.
And you had 70 AD.
I'm at 135 CE, actually, technically, right. I'm at 135.
In between 70. So at that time, you got the Sicarii, which are the zealots of the Judaic priesthood. The Sicarii, that means assassin. It's Sicarii. The Sicarii, Josephus wrote about them. They were the assassins that were sent about from 70, from the time that Tiberius did what he did to John and ordered the hit to chop his head off. From that 66 to where Mac is at now, the Sicarii and the Zealots, Z-E-A-L-O-T. These are factions that were created in the unrest of that 100 years. And the Sicarii would be the Judaic priestly brotherhood that was going against the Roman Arville brothers, the brotherhood of the Acts of Arville. So you have the Sicarii on this side, and you have the Nigers that we spoke about, Marcius Niger, Giannis Niger, all those Nigers that were proconsuls and praetors in the physical Rome. The Sicarii was battling them. So that will just give you an area of those wars that he's talking about, because they had their own civil war. Josephus says it himself. He says Rome didn't do that. They killed each other. The three main factions under Menena, Ben Messa, Eliza, Uri, who was the southern zealot, and one more, I forgot his name. Those three fought each other. It was a civil war within Judea in the time that we're speaking about. Go ahead, Mac.
Word. So within that, you know what I mean? Monte, you brought this map of the sort of region. You see the region?
Because I think people, when we talk about this, when we say anything about, Black Jews, Black Europeans, I think people don't understand how easy geographically this is to be true. You feel me? People here in Europe, and they think it's this far off place from anywhere melanated, when whole time the main places we talking about is so close to Africa, which everybody is telling us Africa is the birthplace of everything, right? Especially Black people. So how could they be this close and they never ventured off to none of these places? That just wouldn't make no sense to me. Look how close they is, bro. Portugal and Spain arguably the closest.
I mean, shoot, that's the Straits of Gibraltar you pointing to right there. That's the Pillars of Hercules right there. You see that right there?
Yeah. So I'm just saying, we'll make it a little bit bigger. I don't understand how this could be, and then especially when we talk about the certain areas, because we wasn't saying all of Europe. These places all over here.
We ain't talking about all that.
Yeah. We talking about this right here. These areas.
Right here.
Yeah, from those two rocks, it's shorter than the Bering Strait. That is nothing.
Right. So what crazy part is, right, within this context, and I sent you Britannica, right? So now you show that map. Show where what they saying about this. Look, Roman Palestine. Because some people might not know that Palestine, gets its name from Rome. You know what I mean? I tell you, Rome the referee, y'all. I ain't gonna make none of this.
Okay, so wait. I'm glad you just said that again. Look at this question.
Okay, yeah, Rome's the referee, because a lot of places that we're using today, when we say African, that's going to be a Roman term. Why we use it today instead of using Ethiopian or any other term that indigenous people from Africa to use. Europe's going to be a Roman term as well. And Asia, the term Asia, in the context of how it gets its name, and we use it today, is from the Roman standpoint. Y'all like to say European today, but technically Rome predates and gave Europe its name. So even the people we would call today European, white or pale or whatever y'all like to call it, you know what I'm saying? Rome is going to even be the referee dealing with them coming into the region we call Europe. So Rome is my referee.
And then right here, so black folks are from African theory, and yes, Rolling Thunder. Yeah, we definitely know that. It's more so the point at the Pan-African state of mind who says that everything black, we all come from Africa. So we always hit back and say, well, okay, so what about Europe? It's so close to Africa. There's no way that, okay, after year 5 in the creation story, some of them just went to Europe and want to live off the coast and do their thing out there, right? So how is that not plausible when you saying black people everywhere else, but they don't want to say America and they don't want to say Europe? Ain't that funny, man?
It's funny. Go back to the map then. Go back to the map. Let me show you what my next thing say. That same map you show. Where's Germany at? You see Germany at?
Yeah, it's over
right
here.
There. Make it bigger. Make it bigger for him.
All right, hold on. So right up in here is Germany.
All right, now look. You see Netherlands right next to it. That's gonna be where they say the Dutch, right?
Right.
Okay, make sure y'all see that. Now, boom. It says, funny enough, those same people that I just said went into after 135 CE, the Bar Kokhba revolt, which led to the legal erasure, and how the term Syria, Palestina, by Emperor Hadrian of that time frame of Rome, is the one that did it. Second Temple period, destroyed, etc. Years later, boom, changed the name. You know what I'm saying? Rome did that. Boom. We get down to the people who were native, indigenous to that region, and all the things that Rome would describe them as in the region we will call again Egypt, Cilicia, Libya, Carthage, Tunisia, Numidie. Y'all know Numidie. Mauritania. That's all North Africa right there too. Mauritania going west into the Straits of Gibraltar. Iberia, which showed you that part, right? Just north going into what they call today Europe. Southern Italy, we showed you that too. Asia Minor and Arabia. But guess what's not on the list? They did not migrate at that time to Germany, to Poland at this time frame. So in 135 AD, the people that spread out after Rome did what they did to their native area in exiled positions, dispersion. Rome's taking them to some of these areas, by the way. Not like, like they say, we brought niggas on slave ships to America. So in the same situation, they saying Rome brought some of these people into those regions I just mentioned, which are all tied to what we call mostly the Mediterranean and North Africa, if we look at that region. So when you look at what's going on, it's we're going to get to the next time frame. So matter of fact, 200 to 600 AD, Yahudi, which would be Judeans, but I like to say Yahudi, right? At this point, formation of what's going on, they're in exile. And from 200 AD to 600 AD, this is what's happening. They became operative identity. The term Yahudi is what they're being called, not Israelite. Israelite is not being used. This is the term historically being used. Rome, and you can say it in the Greek. In the Greek spell it's Ioudaos. There's no J's yet. Remember, there's no J's yet. But we got Greek and Latin translating Hebrew, Aramaic, Syriac, or later even Arabic. And because even the Arabic still using the term Yahud in the Quran. So however, Judeans, Yahudins, living in exile under imperial law, not citizens of the sovereign nation, meaning they're not, sovereign underneath Rome. You know what I mean? At all. And they're not citizens of it either. They're in them freedmen positions we told y'all about. We told you about them freedmen positions. Rome had them in them freedmen positions, see? You know what I mean? And during this time period. We talked about this when we did the freedmen bill, remember? Blueprint and all that.
Facts. That's why they the referee.
That's why they the referee. You know what I'm saying? So we coming back and saying, okay, boom. What happens is now we're gonna be honest about the timeline because my next clip will go into detail. I want to get the timeline right for y'all in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? 800 AD to 1200 AD. This is the formation of Ashkenaz Judaism. Ashkenaz Judaism is formed 800 AD going into the 1200. That's the formulation of this. It says formed later in what we call today Europe, Germany. Ashkenaz is actually, in the biblical sense, was the area tied to Japheth. Japheth would be the people tied to Rome. You know what I'm saying? Funny enough, people would say that region of Germany and all them areas and shit like that. You know what I'm talking about? But either way, Japheth is tied to the term Ashkenaz. But later, the development of the people come, because it's also tied to Germany. Is why I asked you to show that area, Germany. This is when Ashkenaz or Germany or Germania is going to be used in showing this development, what we call today Judaism, tied to Ashkenaz territory, Germany. So it says Mediterranean Jews originally, converts, and local populations did not exist during the early Roman exile period. Y'all hear that? Yep. Meaning none of them people from 800 AD to 1200 AD were involved with what happened tied to the period of what we just talked about going back to 200 and 600 AD. They're not tied to exile of underneath Rome. They're not the same situation. Lineage-wise, national-wise, imperial-wise, religiously, you know what I'm saying? Because they're not even involved in it yet. They're not even there yet to do it. So now we got to that point, and I know we're gonna get to pre-1492, Sephardi, Mizrahi, continuity. You know what I mean? We in that time frame. Jewish communities in North Africa, Iberia, the Middle East, and Persia preserved older Judean lineage and traditions predating the Ashkenaz. You saw the homeboy, the white dude earlier that was speaking, he said Sephardi, right? So correct. The Sephardi and the Mizrahi, people we call Yahudi, and today we like to say Jews because of English with the J, but at the same time of that time period, lineage-wise, not no religion yet, Yahudi come from that area who went into exile underneath Rome, they're tied to exile. And in the Hebrew, they would say Gola, captivity, exile. All right, make sure you understand the language is there for you.
And Matt, hold on. Let me add something, because these Ashkenazi Jews do not. You hear them say they're not Khazars. They try to separate from the Khazarian thing, and we know the Khazarian has the letter from Joseph, King Joseph of the time, 900s, whatever. They have the letter that basically says they converted under Bulan. But these Ashkenazis don't connect to them. That's what they say. We say they do connect to the Khazar. The Khazars of 930 disappear in the 1200s in the same area that your Ashkenazis pop up in. So understand when you're researching, and some people might say, oh, they Khazars, they Ashkenazi. If they using Khazar, that's because they're saying they come from Khazar, Japheth's line. That was a line that they didn't, because of that, they weren't Hebrew, and I believe that they ditched the Khazarian thing after 200-300 years. And now you got the Ashkenazi who says they go to Ashkenaz, and that their common ancestor is Rav Goam of the 1100s, the last Davidic prince, who we searched, that we showed Yahya, El Negro, and them are really connected to. So they're trying to, these Ashkenazis are trying to connect to the Rav Goam and the last Davidic prince in the Charlap family. Just to add their understanding, they're trying to say they're not Khazars. Khazars in the same area from 850 to about 1100. And then from 1100 on, you have the Khazarian influx. Ashkenazi influx, while Khazars, you'll see in your history, they go down. So the Khazars, they're well documented in the steppe. They call that area the steppe, S-T-E-P-P-E, polity. And they just disappear, and then the Ashkenazi pop up. Go ahead, Mac.
Yeah, so just so for Monte's sake and everybody that's watching live, this screen right here is pointing to the time period that you see on the screen right now of going into what we call right before 70 AD, when the temple, the land, the priesthood, and their governance comes under complete, everything's stripped. Everything's stripped from them. You know what I mean? That's when the land's now being renamed, reclassified, Syria, Palestina by Emperor Hadrian. This time period is when the second temple, 70 AD, you know what I mean, people, you know what I mean, we know is, in 63 AD, we know James the Just was executed, you know what I'm saying? which caused going to that revolts and certain things. Because people were going crazy when they say James the Just was knocked off. He was the bishop of Jerusalem, that temple there at that time. You know what I mean? He's the bishop of the temple of Jerusalem underneath Rome at this time. So, however, all these events that are taking place, we're showing you that this jurisdictional thing they had kind of set up was still underneath Roman imperial law. Everything was out of there after that. And even at that time, they're using the term Yahudim in Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? It's just that obviously they would know about what happened to the people called Yisrael or Ephraim. Ephraim would be Jacob's grandson. You know what I'm saying? Who was the one that was bestowed the leadership of the 10 northern tribes that went into exile in 722 BCE, which is before Rome. Just like how the southern tribe went into exile underneath Babylon in the 500 time frame of BCE. But then Persians, if he's showing you all these names, King Cyrus brings them back in, and then from there we walk you into how we just walked you into the Rome and all this right here. So you can go to the next slide. Now, we got that right out the way. The timeline of who's being considered tied to exile, or who's tied to convert Judaism, what we call religion, Judaism, and who has a lineage tied to the exile coming out of the Second Temple period and what's going on. So that right there, see all that right there? You see how that lined up before it came on screen? You see how that shit worked? Right there, see that? All right, you can keep sliding. See, I'm moving fast, even though I'm moving faster to slide. I guess it's me. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's perfect.
You know what I mean? See, look right here. See the little details. Give y'all a little detail before we slide on now. See, 63 BCE, Pompey captured Jerusalem. Rome is still a republic. You know what I'm saying? This is BCE now. This is Israel subjected, not abolished. I mean, Rome enters Judea. Keep sliding. Get them slides real quick and keep it moving.
Yeah, you said Augustus. You brought this up with Augustus earlier.
Yeah, Augustus earlier. All that's there. I want them to see the slides real quick, though. So you're going to keep on.
So then Israel enters into the jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then under the empire.
Under the empire, so everybody knows. No covenant of sovereignty, no true self-rule, nations advised by tolerance, you know what I'm saying? So this is when you hear about the Sanhedrin, you know what I'm saying? Dealing with the Sadducees and the Pharisees, and how they're dealing with, king would be called Caesar, you know what I mean? But there's other people tied to the same group of people who are saying, nah, we're not going to call Caesar our king, you know what I'm saying? Maranatha. But however the case, that's the situation at hand. And that's what we're laying out within this jurisdictional conversation of these people. So I ain't gonna try to get into all the other stuff, what they got religiously and all that, which is when they stick to Rome, brings Israel in the term, because Israelite is a term Rome puts on it, you know what I mean, with the ite on it, you know what I mean, Moabite too, Canaanite too. People try to escape that group shit, they can't. But however, keep sliding.
Yes,
y'all see it?
Yep.
Yeah, we can keep sliding. They already got this already. It's there for them to see it. Nations can no longer function. They're not functioning as a nation, and this is as being called Yahudim. See, even though we're using this term Israel in the title, you know what I'm saying? Even in this time frame, I'm trying to make sure y'all understand this clearly. After the 10 northern tribes go into exile underneath Assyria, where we showed you the clip earlier on 722, and Persia, King Cyrus allows them to come back into their native land before Rome does everything we're breaking down. From that point on, it's Yahudim. It's Yahudim. Hebrew is going to be the lineage, but the actual ideal of name being used by the Persians, Greeks, Romans, Assyrians, you know what I'm saying? In all the languages at that time, they're going to use this term we call it Yahudim, that later on becomes known today as the Jew. You know what I'm saying? So Sephardic, Mizrahi, African Jew, whatever you want to put with it, you know what I'm saying? Where they located at, they in these regions after Roman's time frame. So we're gonna keep it moving. Now you got that slide right there, bro.
You talked about the book, Bakawa already.
I gave him that, right? I know I try to move pretty good with it. We just make sure y'all see the clips to go with it now.
Yeah.
Keep it sliding.
And then we wrote through Palestinian.
We went through that too. Legal death.
Yep.
Legal death.
Legal death.
The legal death.
Hey, so they need to understand. So from a layman's terms, right? This is like early, showing you how early in history, basically stripping people of being indigenous. How far does this go back? to a jurisdiction changing everything about who you are legally, not physically.
Legally, not physically. You don't disappear as a bloodline. You just
Right.
your nationality disappears. You don't got no long. You no longer governing your land autonomously, or as they said, sovereignty-wise, however the case might be. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got it no more. They've been lost that, but now they ain't got no functioning. They ain't able to function in their land at all after that. You know what I'm saying? So that's just historical facts. Rome is the referee for that. They're the ones with all the sources. If you want to go look it up and try to say we wrong about anything Rome is saying about what they did to them, you know what I'm talking about? Not me saying it. This is what Rome said, and they got all the events. So again, Hadrian enacted a legal erasure. That's right, the Emperor Hadrian. That's the person that enacted it. You know what I'm saying? After the Bar Kokhba situation. So now they're going to be considered Hebrews in exile. See, Yahudi, identity in Hebrew will be the term. Now they got it in Greek, they got it in Latin. I heard somebody in the chat say, you know, African is a Latin term. Well, Rome is the ones that went into Carthage the same way they kicked out these people called Yahudi. They went into Carthage and conquered what we call dealing with the Punic Wars. That's going to be tied to Tunisia. You see what I'm saying? That's where they say the tribe of Afri was at, but they try to dismiss this is Carthage. You know what I'm saying? In history, that's Carthage. That's not a little small tribe called Afri. No, the Romans called Carthage afterwards a province. The same way they got rid of what you call this identity right here, they did the same thing to Carthage. All right, that's you know, two different groups of people that would say governments being captured by Rome. However, though, them same people right here were in Carthage, Yahudi. You see what I'm saying? So there's different groups of people that were labeled black, tied to that term Niger that Rome would use in Latin too to describe people in the regions of what we just mentioned earlier called North Africa today, etc. You know what I mean? Even going south and going west, the Sahel. You know what I mean? We're going to get into that in a minute too. But I want to make sure y'all see that this is the term going forward dealing with Rome. Rome is saying they know these people obviously in stock or tied to a descendancy going back to Eber, tied to this term Hebrew. But at the same time, they're in an exiled position and they're living in this imperial law system, no longer function as a nation of people. That's what needs to be understood lawfully as the death of what Rome did to Israel. You see what I'm saying? Just to lay that out first. You know what I'm saying? So again, dispersion. See, Rome is doing this. 135 permanent exile is doing this. I mean, am I doing pretty good? Or is everybody catching on? Anybody? Everybody good?
You walking it up just to make sure they understand core concepts of what's happening. Them basically being, this is the steps of being removed and written out of history, bro.
Yeah.
Starting with your legal clarification.
Word. Making sure y'all hear me though, right?
Definitely.
All right, mate.
Yeah, hold on.
So he froze at me?
Me.
I think Monte's freezing.
Yeah, it was him. I was making sure. You hear us?
You can hear me, bro?
I hear you, but he's chopping up.
But yeah, it's him on my side. But y'all do hear me though. Mic check real quick.
Yeah, no, we hear you. I hear you loud and clear.
All right, bet. So while you know what I mean, that works out. It says, what did the people, what did it end? You know what I mean, basically the people. You know what I'm saying? Rome destroyed Israel as a nation. That's just the facts. Rome will tell you that. You know what I'm saying? Rome did not destroy the Hebrew lineage that you see here. You know what I mean? What Yahudi meant after Israel's abolition, you know what I'm saying? Israelite, as people like to say, was no longer a legal identity. You see what I'm saying? But Yahudi became the operative term. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, even though people today like to deal with Hebrew and Israelite, that's why when people say in history, in the Bible, even Lee Cummins said it, there's no such thing as a Hebrew Israelite in that time frame we're talking about. Well, yeah, that's a fact. Benai Yisrael and sons, descendants, lineages of people, not religious, but of an actual stock of people. You know what I'm saying? And how they're being described by Rome, etc., that we know is continuous all the way into 1492. See what I'm saying? Being tied to that exile term. You know what I mean? Captivity, Gola. You know what I mean? So again, Gola meaning Golah in Hebrew for captivity. Go check the strong concordance. You know what I'm saying? Within this, context of what we're saying here is showing that Yahudi meant Judeans by lineage or covenant. Two different things, lineage or covenant. Living under foreign imperial law. So that's something that needs to be understood. Not no religious thing, that's the facts. Now, when it comes down to, are they still this and that? Well, they of Hebrew lineage or Hebrew lineage, because Hebrew is a noun. Before y'all religious people like to say Abraham even came into existence. So we need to be first understanding that part, person, places, and things. Now we can move forward though. Slide. It's 9. I know it's before I go into, I think I got most of that out the way. And I think before we get into, obviously the earlier after now 1492 now, right? And what Candace Owens was talking about, right? That these people were in exile in 1492, for the record, y'all. And we've covered that Alhambra decree tied to Spain and Portugal, and those things that are being passed in Iberia, where them same people had already been in Iberia from the 1st century AD. That's why we're showing you that. They're already in North Africa from the 1st century AD. They're already in these regions they call Africa, West Africa even, from the time frame of Rome destroying this territory and them going into exile, dispersion, just diaspora, whatever you want to call it. They're in all these areas. As they say, scattered. You know what I'm talking about? That's what prophecy, why they'd be gathered back together. But they were scattered on the lawful part. You know what I mean? In refugee mode. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying?
So they're banking nomadic crypto Jew extraordinaires. And at that time, like you said, from 135 to about 1400, they are in Iraq, Baghdad, Qumabito, in the Golem synagogue as the exiles of that Babylonian situation. They're in multiple areas with their schools of yeshiva and their different synagogue schools, but they're being tolerated in certain areas. In the 400s, they have the issue with Menorca and Alexander Cyril, Cyril of Alexander. He expels them. They go through a situation in the 600s, 700s. But by the time the 1000s, they're hunkering down in Portugal, Lusitania, creating that whole Western thing. So they hunker down. This is their first good hunker down is Portugal. And then when they bring them into England with William the Conqueror. Just to bring
you see all these regions, right? Yeah, but you see all these regions he got on the screen, Monte pulled up right now, right? These regions, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so in these regions, and at this time frame we're talking about, all this is happening with Rome dispersion zones. This is before there's an Ashkenazi Judaism conversion or etc. You know what I'm saying? That's not even in the world yet. That's not even on the chronological timeline yet. It can't even. There's no continuality to it because they're not there yet. You see what I'm saying? Because Rome has these people in exile. See what I'm saying? But that's why people don't like to talk about Rome, maybe. You know what I'm talking about? Because Rome is the referee, not me. Rome did this.
And to add that, there's really no expulsion whatsoever from what we call Germany, Lower Netherlands. The only expulsion in that area is the 1159 Silesia, Silesia, and that's from Sephardi's that are coming from Hungary and the province Papal States of Naples. So there's no expulsion whatsoever in the middle crest of Germany. To your left, if you're looking this way, is France. Sicilia would be this way. Austria will be on the bottom. Netherlands would be on the top. All the expulsions is not in that area. No such expulsion until Hitler. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I want to, if y'all really don't, think we playing around with this term, right? I mean, this word Sephard, right? I want to make sure I understand something real quick. Watch this. We're going to do something real quick. You know what I mean? You can move to the next slide. I'm just going to pull up something just real quick while we're doing this. Now, you can keep moving because he just said all that, portable and all that, right? So Rabbinic Judaism, we're dealing with that right there. So, again, as we mentioned, Rabbinic Judaism, it's all going to be after 800 when these people are tied to these situations in the Ashkenazi conversion situation. See? Now, wait, let me make sure I say that more clearly. after the Second Temple, what people don't realize is that Rome tolerated what we call today Judaism. You know what I'm saying? In certain customs of these people underneath what we call the synagogue of the freedmen synagogues or the synagogue of freedmen. They were practicing this type of Judaism before Ashkenazi conversion. That's why, what are they converting to? They're converting to what we would call the Sanhedrin, that underneath Rome was dispersed in these certain regions and kept up their actual traditions of what we call Rabbinic Judaism. It's just they had no longer a national governance over a landmass to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because they're in exile. You know what I'm saying? So now when they go into the regions where people do convert into it, tied to what we call Ashkenaz in 800 AD, this is what these people are getting it from. But however, the people who went into exile in other regions that we just showed you on that last list of territories, they definitely you know, are dealing with a different type of Yahudim practices than even the rabbinic, because everybody wasn't following the Sanhedrin system. We understand what happened with James the Just, the Bishop of Jerusalem, because that would be Yahshua's half brother, they say. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? What about the Simons? All three of them. You know what I'm talking about? Simon the Niger, Simon the Cyrene, Simon,
and
you know,
Simon the Zealot. Hey,
right.
Simon the Zealot. I said the Zealots were the dudes that were popping.
Or something.
Yeah, he was the Zealot. So keep going.
3 Simons, you heard me? And all of them are located in what we would call today North Africa. You know what I mean? When they're saying about these people in their regions where they're at, because Cyrenia is Libya. You know what I mean? Simon the Niger, he's in Libya at this time. Paul, he's in Libya. When they talk about Acts 13:1, and they use this word Niger to describe these Yahudim in the territory we call today North Africa. You heard me? Just to keep that in context, dealing with the exile group of people coming out the region tied to Rome. See what I'm saying? And Rome's my referee. So Sephard, though, just so y'all know, in Hebrew, comes from the Hebrew word Sephard, which means Spain. You heard that? Spain. Spain, Iberia is connected to the term Sephard. It's in the biblical situation. Now, some people don't understand that this word is biblical. You know what I mean? That it's Obadiah, Obadiah 120, you know what I'm saying? And how they're talking about exile, you know what I'm saying? And how their people are being dispersed. That's what people aren't understanding in the diaspora language of how this word Iberia and Sephard connect. And that's why the people who are exiled from out of that time frame of the 1st century that go into this area we call Iberia, Al-Andalusia, Spain, Portugal, parts of France, they're going to be known as Sephardic. You know what I mean? Because they're the ones tied with the lineage of exile coming from out was told of Rome and the Sephard. That's just what it is. You know, that's why there's a delineation between the groups of people. You know what I mean? Because we're trying to get to something that Candace talked about in the future, dealing with this group of people we call the Sephard. That I think she was trying to address. You know what I'm talking about? Funny enough, though, we told y'all the Sephard got exiled out of Iberia, the Sephard, in 1492. And they're being described as Negroes, Moranos, even Moors, even Black or Moor. Not all people being called these terms as far as Moor, Black, Moor are all the same as their heritage and lineage, but these are general terms that even, remember, Rome was using these terms in these time frames. So we can slide to the next joint, though, Monte. No king but Caesar.
Yeah.
Understand. Now, the people who saying no king but Caesar are the ones that survived after the Second Temple and they went into dispersion, and they're dealing with Rabbinic Judaism in this case. Ones that they're talking about that are tied to the Sanhedrin. You know what I mean? They're the ones that told Pilate to take King of Yahudim off the cross of Yahshua, HaMashiach, the people that they call Jesus Christ. I'm just pointing out historical things they're talking about. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? They said this happened around in the 30s CE when this happened with Pilate. You know what I mean? Who was the person over their district underneath Caesar, dealing with Rome. That's why I said Rome's the referee. You know what I mean? And people want to get into it however they want to get into. You know what I mean? This is what we're dealing with. You know what I mean? Jurisdictional submission, not covenant worship, but still having, I guess we would call it a boule form of governance over their own people underneath that system. See what I'm saying? A foreign system. So we're going to keep it moving. You know what I mean? Obadiah 120, I was right, though, just to let y'all know. The word Sephard, Obadiah 120, it says, and the exiles Obadiah 1:20. See, I'm sticking to what it said in the book. And the exiles of the host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites and even Zarephath, and the exiles of Jerusalem, which are in Sephard, still possess the cities of the south. So what he's talking about is how there's people tied to the house of Israel, which is the Ephraim, the 10 northern tribes, who got sent away during Assyrian exile. And now in this time period, these people who are going to be sent into this region called the Sephard after the Roman situation's taking place, jurisdictionally speaking. You know what I mean? Being called niggas. I mean, this is just a correlation. You know what I mean? Make sure we understand who Sephardic is. Exile heritage, lineage, not conversion, not Judaism, but lineage tied to exile. Make sure we understand that's facts. And they being called niggas at the same time. Am I wrong about that 90? Monte, everybody out there understand what we're saying right now? This is the timeline. Anybody got something to go, correlate?
Oh no, you 100%. And I just threw a couple of Nigers in there that are part of the Roman legate situation and not part of the Yahudi. So these are Nigers going against Nigers. They have the cognomen Niger. And one of them was also, he fought Septimus Severus. The other person that everyone says is an African Negro. He fought him in the year of the 5 emperors. So, but that Niger is on both sides. It's in Rome. It's all over the place at this time. And you could look at Quintus Aquilus Niger. His wife or daughter was called Negrina or Nigrina. Like, you got to go into some of these people, but keep rocking. We're in the right time frame.
I'll make sure I'm walking the timeline right. That's all. I want to make sure I got the timeline. Everybody see what's going on. And we're going to make a distinction between these groups of people that people talking about. You know what I'm saying? So, y'all with me?
Yep.
All right, bet money. So, ancient Jewish tradition and early translation, Aramaic, Targum, medieval Jewish geographers identify Sephard with Spain, which in parentheses it says Iberia. And obviously this will be tied to all these groups of people that are going into this region. This is tied to Obadiah's prophecy, Obadiah 1:20. Just make sure y'all see it for all my folk that like to look into the scripture. You know what I'm talking about? However the case, within this understanding and Roman ideal of why these people bear this name Sephardic, and also tied to the word Yahudim, and then obviously later on in revisionist English understanding, we use the word J, so we say Jews. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not in Greek or Latin, the term is still going to be present, dealing with a lineage of people, also associated with being called Niger, based off the complexion of their skin, also being called Moor, because they're in North Africa, Mauritania, you know what I'm saying? Also could later on in regions of what we call those European areas north of Iberia, being also called Blackamoor, like how the English like to use Jew, they use the Blackamoor to describe those same people in those regions. Now, it's consistent in continuality, in my opinion, of what the timeline shows being tied to that heritage of people with their mixtures, by the way, because they are amongst other nations of people for a very long time. So to say that they were just not mixing with nobody else is crazy work. You know what I mean? The same way to say that them people with 800 to 1200 tied to the Ashkenazi didn't mix with some of the actual original people that went into the region with the Rabbinic Judaism would be kind of crazy to say too. You know what I mean? That would be like some isolationist, I don't know what to call that. You know what I mean? But either way, it's kind of weird. It can't happen. I don't think that can happen in real life. You know what I'm saying? But if they do it and you hear, that's something we would like to have you live on the show to show the continuality of your people ain't mixing with nobody else but your own people. You know what I'm saying? That would be a great show to see who can prove that. But however the case.
And the closest to that is Portugal.
Because they said it, right?
That practiced that. The Negroes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what's crazy about them Sephardic, right? They actually practice that we only mixing with people of our own descent. You know what I'm saying? And then it's funny that when they got kicked out of 1492, you would think wherever they went, they were mixed with only what? Their people of their own descent, even if they're in these different nations, right? Put in the kind of correlate based off y'all having the same cousin, but you're in different regions based off the timeline of where all these people went and the diaspora and dispersion of Rome. You know what I mean? They all dark though, niggas.
And when they get kicked out, certain kingdoms start to pop up. I don't know. 50 years later, 100 years later, after 1492, you get the Dutch Republic. Who's funded it? Who are the Dutch? So you got to follow that Sephardim and those expulsions, that 1492 expulsion. When they spread out, they go multiple ways. But the biggest two places, of course, we know 1492 is the same year they found this. So then they end up in what? Portuguese end up in Brazil. And they end up in the northern regions of Netherlands, Dutch area, Poland, southern Russia, Eastern Europe, as the Yahudic Amsterdam families that Candace is talking about, the Carvajals, the Levy, the Sosa. These families, they had the Carvajal Consortium. This was a family of Yahudic Jews that were expelled out of Spain in 1492. They're sitting up in Amsterdam as the consortium of traders. And there's multiple families, which we're going to show, but they're all over the place. But the particular ones we want to focus on is the ones that Mission Maximilius, in his famous quote, stated that all the Jews of Portugal are black and practice hegemony amongst each other, and their swarthiness is entailed upon their whole race. If he's writing this in 1660, he's showing you that 200-year gap. If he's writing this in 1660, in his travels to a new voyage to Italy, which is giving you curious observations of several countries, Germany, Flanders, Holland, Dutch, Savoy. That book is telling you where's the safe place for dispersed peoples, because the author is dispersed from the Edict of Nantes in France under King Louis. So he's a Huguenot that's dispersed and writing the places that are friendly to Huguenots, conversos, and Jews. He maps out the Jews that are in Portugal to be the darkest of them all in the 1660s. And this is Cromwell's era. So you can just take those surnames like we did and just go 100 years to 1560. Same families are there. 100 years to 1460. Same families there. You'll find out those families was there since 1060 under the Yahya El Negro family and the Charlotte family and those exilarchs that popped up under Alfonso. Go ahead, Mac.
Yeah, so real quick, slide on Monte, so we can keep people up on the date now that he did all that. We show Oscar Roger Days, we dare keep sliding. We gonna get to the 16th right now. I want to get to the Atlantic era. We're gonna get to this time frame.
That's where we
need to be at based off everything y'all need to hear.
Yep.
What you just heard, you know what I mean? That's the era that we in right now, based off the timeline, right? And we keep it consistent with Sephardi, Iberian, crypto Jews and their lineage, and then how Ashkenazim, right? You see they're excluded initially. They're not in this time period. So when the decrees are passed and everything tied to the Atlantic slave trade or anything tied to those who are being persecuted or even could be involved in certain cases of trading or laboring anybody else, you know what I'm saying? Commerce, networking, the terms that we use today, chattel slavery. These people were definitely involved in that. You know what I mean? As far as being caught up in it by the actual Roman Catholic crown. You see what I'm saying? Portugal, Spain, France. You see what I'm saying? These places in certain cases are passing these decrees and allying with each other on an imperial level and telling these people that they got to get up out of there. See what I'm saying? So, and these people are having to go into these same regions that they were already in prior to, you know, they've been moving around. It's not like they've been sitting in one place, isolated, you know what I mean? And their diaspora and their trade and their commerce. And like Nanya just said, the Dutch, how did that come about? What happened in Angola? You know what I'm saying? And how they go into Angola, Cape Verde, St. Tom, you know what I'm saying? They go into these areas, you know what I mean? And they end up in Brazil too. See what I'm saying? These are the people that we're finding tied to this diaspora or ended up on what they call the slave trade, caught up in it, persecuted by it. So they're not even in most cases until like Nanita says that time frame of 1650. And we covered that as a bill, by the way. When we did Cromwell and the real, what was it? Cromwell and the Jews, right? Monte?
Yeah. Facts.
1650, if you watch that bill, everything we're talking about tonight walks you into the 1650 and what everything we lay out within the context of what Cromwell did and how the petitions were made by, you know, Vanessa, who wrote the book Hope for Israel, and how he petitioned Cromwell in the Parliament. All that's there in the real secular history documents, not no religious stuff. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with these people and how they're dealing with what they're dealing with. So within the cases of it, guess what's happening? One thing for sure, we know this for sure. In the Atlantic era, what we know for sure, because we traced it back, the Atlantic Jews were Sephardi and what we call new Christians because of what they had to face with conversion. And when they converted, we call it a baptism. In that time frame of 1492, you got baptized, you were considered a new Christian, which is tied to, in their language of that time frame, Moranos. You know what I'm talking about? And that means they could be also still crypto Jew, Sephardi. You know what I'm saying? This is the terms applied to them. And they're dark-skinned people. You know what I mean? No, they're being called niggas. Now look, the Jews involved in the early Atlantic zones in this time frame, Brazil, Curacao, Jamaica, Suriname, Barbados, Angola, Cape Verde, St. Tom, were Sephardi Jews and new Christians expelled. They're not involved with doing anything at this point, but trying to get away. They're in an exile to get exiled position. See what I'm saying? From Iberia. This is between 1492 and 1497. Then it says they were Moranos, tied to that crypto Jew term, you know what I mean, operating inside Portuguese and Spanish systems, which means they converted some of them, obviously a lot of them too, and stayed in them systems, but now they're underneath this term of being called today new Christians, baptized, the Baptist. You know what I'm talking about? We say in English, Baptist. So in this
and they going through multiple expulsions all through the 1500s.
All through it.
You got the Rodenburg expulsion of 1519. You have the Bavarian expulsion of the 1550. You got Pope Pius V expelling them out of Spain, Italy, and 3 more areas. Check him. He's doing that like 1570, 1580. So from that 1490, that's them getting kicked out of Portugal. Spain, and run into Portugal and the Azores and their strongholds in Portugal, and they run into Dutch. But the rest of them, the remnant, their multiple dispersions. And remember, like you said, a lot of people that didn't leave because they went into crypto status. When the Jews go into crypto status, they know how to move and operate it. So in the decree, the first 3 months, Elizabeth gave them 3 months and basically said, hey, whatever possessions you can grab, you got to go. 50% of the Yahudic people in that decree liquidated and flooded the market with assets to get gold. She put out a decree that you could not mint or move any silver or gold as a measure to that. So she was trying to consolidate their wealth into Portugal and kick them out. Into Spain and kick them out. And then she made a deal with Emmanuel in Portugal 4 years later when they regrouped. They went back to their stronghold, Portugal, regrouped. You still had 30% that converted to stay behind and be the eyes and the ears of the Yehudim in that network in Spain. And Columbus used some of them as financiers. And Abernaby also asked Queen Elizabeth to dig under the houses of exposed Jews because he knew where gold was. When she said she could not fund that expedition and didn't want to pawn her jewelry because she was fighting the Moors, he said, I got you. And they got Saint Angel or Angelo and that Abernaby dude, and they were digging under expulsion people's houses. So they got exposed all through the 1500s to where we at in the 1600s when everything is accumulating and they're on their last 100 to 150 years before the Khazarian mix comes in. Okay, man.
Yeah, so we just keeping it historical on the timeline. There's a distinction between the people and what's going on and who's doing what. And obviously everything he just walked down, when we get to Cromwell, as we told you before, which is that timeline we're showing you 1650 for a reason. You know what I mean? What is also being left out, and I think this is a major factor to showing with the Sephardi and obviously everything we showed you, them people who got kicked out of Rome and of their territory by Rome and went into exile into North Africa and other places. Monte, I sent you an academia joint tied to Sahil. Can you pull that up real quick? And we're going to come right back and we can move from this slide after that. I just want to show them a coincidental thing. And I want to show this right here before we go
You said
it's going to be the
El Sudan.
yep, that's it. Yeah, that's it. And Sudan. You know what I mean? West Africa, as they call it today. Mali, Songhai, Ghana.
Let me move us. Hold on.
Make it a little bigger for the folks so they can see this academia joint. So it's clearly, remember, this is, don't get thrown off with the J, because people like to get petty and worry about J's, but we know it's a more modern English translation of the term, right? So Yahudi, Yahudim of Balad al-Sudan. You know, it's the land of the blacks, right? So you know, just for anybody that was out there, that's what we responded to Buddy last week, Monte, when he was saying that the Jews were, you know, aren't in, like, well, first we just want to correct and say that the Jews definitely are tied to being called black. It's, you know, Balad al-Sudan is tied to lands of the black. It ain't no Ashkenazi people sitting down there sticking out. You know what I'm talking about? That's not what's happening. You know what I mean? Now, what's also has to be understood, because see, it shows you in that first paragraph where it says that these people describe West African Jewish communities who are connected to known Jewish communities from Middle East, North Africa, or Spain and Portugal. Everything we've been showing y'all, this is the academia showing, coming back and saying. And it says various historical records attest to their presence at one time in the Ghana, Mali, and Songhai empires, then called Balad al-Sudan, from the Arabic meaning land of the blacks. Jews from Spain, Portugal, and Morocco in later years also formed communities off the coast of Senegal, Senegambia, you know what I'm talking about, and the islands of Cape Verde after the rise of Islam in North and West Africa. These communities ceased to exist and have since disappeared due to migration and assimilation. Oh, what happened? Oh, what happened? Well, in 1492, this Songhai Empire that they mentioned, Songhai, 1492, same way Spain, Portugal, 1492, Alhambra decree, there's one group of people being exiled from it and are black niggas, Moors, all these descriptive terms, not nationality terms, but descriptive terms of these people in these regions. When you look at the Sudan area, that would be, look at all that area they're in. You see that, Monte?
Yeah, that's why I brought it back up. That's why it's very plausible. Like, you heard what we just said, and then folks trying to, so we telling you right now, they was originating all up in here, and then they spread to all these places, here, they was all over here, they moved where they could. How does that not make sense for the time for them to be able to move within this fashion, and you had these melanated people? You see what I'm saying? It's different set of Jews, different things that was in play here that people try to act like we conspiracy theorists when we come with this, when this is very plausible for the time for them to move within these connected regions like that.
Bruh, Askia Muhammad, the first, Sunni Ali's general, who took the throne from Sunni Ali's son, Askia Muhammad the first, the Askia dynasty, the last black Muslim situation to sit on the crown in West Africa, was, you know, in this time period, dynasty-wise, Songhai, tied to Songhai. So he kicked out, 1492, the Jews of that same term we just used. So the Jews of Balad al-Sudan, if they're in the region that's controlled by Mali, as we call it today, you see Mali, that's Songhai. That region right there, Songhai and Mali are the same lands. See what I'm saying? You see where Senegal is located at? That's all the way over there. Where what? By the Gambia. You see all this area, right? You see how far that is from Mali? You see, this is the regions that they're saying these people were in going into the time frame of 1492, dealing with exile. You see what I'm saying? So they get kicked out by the Muslim empire. We call, well, the empire being controlled by Muslims at this time, Askia Muhammad. And Sunni Ali was letting Jews and Moors, Jews and Muslims live together based off of religions at this time in that empire before that happened. So we know for a fact that these people weren't no white people. I'm just being honest about that. These people coming out this region tied to Songhai, ain't nobody gonna come out their mouth as a historian and say that.
And the Songhai is not the only Put like this, the Ottoman Empire is not the Moorish Empire.
No, it
So
isn't.
so at the same time, I want to make that clear. At the same time that this is happening, the Yahudi are going under the Sultan Bayezid, Dayerzid. They're going under this Sultan, two of the Ottoman Empire, who giving them safe refuge to Turkey, Greece, because that's Ottoman control. Thessalonica, or whatever they call, which is currently Greece.
Yeah.
He's giving them Bayezid is giving them refuge. So you have the Sultan of this area, but there's another area. The whole Ottoman Empire is giving refuge because the Ottomans is at war. Yeah, man.
Nah, so I mean, this in the whole walk of what we did tonight. You know what I'm saying, for this. And if anybody's interested, you know, in the chat, let us know what you think about this part. Cause you know, I want to see.
Oh, Matt, hold on. Matt, I gotta give me a share screen. We gotta lead them. We gotta lead them right. Hold on 1 second. Where's my? Damn, where is the? I'm trying to find me backstage. Am I backstage?
Yeah, you back.
Oh, I'm on my phone. Hold on. Okay. No. I got you. Bow. I got you right now.
All right, hold on. I'm looking for it.
I'm coming right in again. Don't worry. You're gonna see me coming back in right now. Enter studio. I gotta hold on, let me mute this.
I muted both of them. Hold on. It must be sound like it's playing out of both. I had muted you. Let me try it.
Like right now.
Yeah, you can echo. Yeah. I'm trying. I'm gonna kick that one. So hold on, I'll kick. Hey, check.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I had kicked the other one.
All right, so you pull it up.
All right, talking about the PDF, huh?
Yeah.
All right, hold on, let me see what it look like. I might. Okay, no, I look straight. All right, they can see it.
Okay, they can see it. I'm a degree. We went through that. I want to skip all that. Second page. Hold up. I'm gonna tell you right now. Second page. We just reviewed that many Spanish Yahudi fled to the Ottoman Empire under Sultan Bayezid II. Those are just areas that will be their stronghold on the third page that they went to. I want to get to Maximilian, page 5, page 4. Quotes from missions work.
Yeah, it's showing.
Okay, quotes from mission work. Like we said, Mission Maximilius, he wrote A New Voyage to Italy with curious observations to several countries, Germany, Switzerland, Savoy, Geneva, Flanders, Holland, and much more, together with useful instructions for those that would travel there. That's the whole title of this. He did this in between 1660 and 1670. When you research the book and it says 1650, those were his first notes. So in between that 20-year period, he's walking through this area. So he said it is a vulgar error that all the Jews are black, for this is only true amongst the Portuguese Jews, who marry all amongst one another and beget children like themselves, and consequently their swarthiness of their complexion is entailed upon their whole race. He's telling you that because it's a popular misconception at the time that every Jew was black in his time in 1650. And they don't tell us this, but he's running around. He's a contemporary source mapping out the place. So he goes on to say the Jews of Amsterdam are for the most part Portuguese, letting you know when he got there, they are the descendants of those who fled from the persecution of Spain and Portugal in 1492 in that decree. And they recovered their liberty there, their wealth and their dignity. Why? Because in Amsterdam, they created Amsterdam as their stronghold. He later on said Amsterdam may very well be called the New Jerusalem, for nowhere in Europe do the Jews enjoy such perfect liberty. Later, he says there the Jew. This is all in the same book. We're just giving you quotes from this book to paint the picture of what's going on 1650, right then and there. Who are the Sephardic Judah? Who are they in Dutch Amsterdam, Netherlands area? Who are they in Brazil? Who are they in Portugal? Who are they in the Northern African in all the Azores? Because they ran the Azores. Last on that page, it says, Les Jufis, Portugal, Seat Nior. I just wanted to put that there because he spoke in French so that you know he said Nior. He didn't say swarthy that everybody want to beat up. He used Nior, black. That's French, black. There's no way you can get it. The Portuguese are black. Then he also lets you know that the Jews of Germany are not blacker than their countrymen. So he's telling you when he went to Germany, these Ashkenazi, they not black like these. The countrymen are popping. Them niggas are black. These dudes are some mixture. And like Max said, they've been mixing both ways. So now at that particular time, that's where they at. I want to go to the last part. These top 5 Sephardic funders. So we get these names on the next page. Samuel Palachi is a financier, agent, private diplomat. He worked from Amsterdam and Morocco, had a palace in Morocco. He dealt with William of Orange. We know William of Orange to give the letter of marque to John Job, who snatched the Spanish vessel San Juan Batista along with the White Lion and the treasurer and sold the first 21 odd Negroes. That's coming from Sam Palachi's money. Samuel Palachi funded anti-Spanish privateer voyages, intelligence on Iberian shipping, Moroccan-Dutch naval coordination. His legal status, he held letters of marque against Spain. Why this matter, he is the clearest documented bridge between Sephardic networks, state authority, and high seas violence before VOC and WIC dominance. VOC and WIC is the West Indian Company, the Dutch companies that they funded the Sephardic Jews that we are trying to show the people today that it was funded there. His little brother, Joseph Palachi, was a merchant financier, intelligence conduit from Amsterdam to North Africa. He dealt with a lot of Moroccan courts. When you look him up, he dealt with all the privateer logistics. On the next page 9, you got Dante Nunez de Costa, father of Geronimo Nunez de Costa, who we spoke about before in the last live. David Carrillo. He had 3 names, and he also had the Muriel name. So you have the Nunez, the Curio, or the Muriel in the 1600s. You can, and especially from Brazil, Jamaica, Pomabuto, and those little areas, you might be related directly. He was a Dutch military supplier, all Atlantic shipping houses and war loans. He would fund anyone. This is Sephardic funding, and his cap is in Amsterdam as the headquarters, no longer in Portugal, but their Portugal counterparts are still working with him. Like you'll see the next one, Abraham Cohen. The Cohen family was still over there in Portugal, where the K. Cohen family of Ashkenazi is in the northern Poland, eastern region of Poland, Germany. But you have the Cohens, and they were dealing with a lot of things in Brazil in the 1650s. It had to do with the reconquest and the Dutch helping Portugal get back Brazil. So these people, these Sephardic Jews, they basically were on the next page. I think you can see page 7. I think it is. It says Sephardic Jews uniquely held family networks in Lisbon, Seville, Antwerp, Venice, Hamburg, Morocco, Brazil. Knowledge of Portuguese shipping, insurance, sugar, spices, and bullion. No loyalty to Spain, which had expelled them. They became the financiers and brokers, insurance, and ship owners of intelligent assets. Key Jewish networks involved Amsterdam Sephardim, finance, insurance, intelligence, synthesis. Iberian conversos. They were port intelligence because they were everywhere in the ports, the Moors, the Moroccans. Moroccan Jews, not only Muslim, but Moroccan Jews, diplomatic and maritime intelligence. Cararuco, which me and Matt be fucking up. I don't know how to say that.
I think it's Caraco.
Caraco.
Curacao.
I can't take. I can't trust man off the jump. I gotta look it up.
Yeah. We need God agree.
Right.
We need God agree for that. Right. Anyway, Caribbean logistics and the Hamburg Sephardim. Under that, I show a map of most of this Portuguese expulsion. And if you look at Germany in the middle, It's not major expulsion coming out of there except for 1551, and that is a Sephardic half. 1551, the Rothschilds, Bear Rothschild, Baurer, he's just born, and he got nothing to do with banking in that 1500s. He's born with no history in Poland. He's the patriarch of that Rothschild thing. The banking system don't come to 1700s under Mayor Rothschilds, 200 years out there. But I wanted to give some truth that there is an Ashkenazi presence in the 1500s, but they're not doing nothing. This map basically shows you Lithuanian. It will show you that in these expulsions, they can go to Ottoman areas, Crimean areas, North Poland and Lithuania, but they can't go to Germany, they can't go to France. And they go to some papal states, and then they go to North Africa. So to understand that, I'm gonna end with this. The Al-Hamid Decree of 1492, this is the next page, forced Spain's Jews into exile. Many fled to Portugal, once to face a similar fate under Portuguese Inquisition. Cloaked in baptism identities with whispers of prayers beneath crucifixes, they became Marranos, secret Jews navigating a perilous double life. From the bustling ports of Lisbon and Porto, they loaded ships with silver bars, precious spices, dye, and fine textiles, commodities sourced through expansive trade networks stretching from the Levant to the Americas. Yet these goods weren't just merchandise. They were lifelines and bankrolls, barrels of bullions that will bankroll a new chapter of a mercantile power. Their vessels slipped quietly through European waters, often disguised under Dutch or English flags. Their crews were wary and watchful. They evaded Spanish Inquisition patrols that scored the seas like vultures. Amsterdam soon became a secret harbor of refuge, a sanctuary for those who could no longer safely trade or worship openly. Here in the shadows of the old city, they sailed like swans, graceful yet vigilant. Weaving intricate financial webs with the Dutch East Indian Company and privateers commissioned to hunt down Spanish galleons. The wealthy families included the Carvajals, the Lopez, the Sousas. We also said the levies, the consortiums of that particular situation. Their ships carried cargoes of sugar, tobacco, and African gold all along, and they seized a lot of Spanish gold. They re-exported from colonies in Brazil, Suriname, and the Caribbean islands, turning hardship into fortune. Their maritime mastery was a shield, a sword, and a source of wealth, empowering them to fund not just the trade, but entire influences. And the last page will give you the Curio family consortium, the Belmont family consortium, and the Carvajal family consortium. They all had to do with actual funding. And on page 10, if you could just show that, we're going to end right there. This is a list of the top 20 Sephardic financiers connected to Cromwell's era, 1600s and 1700s. And you'll see many family names that are being bastardized and changed and end up in the Caribbean. So you see the Curios, which would be the Muriels later on, Lopez, the Dragos, the Sosas, the Robos, the Diaz, the Diaz with the D-I-A-S, the Gomez and the Enriquez. That is the top 20 Sephardic financiers connected to this situation, along with those three consortium families and the list that we gave you on the last two lives. This will just show that
it say, I am Jamaican with Sephardic ancestry. My fifth great grandfather's name is Jacob Rodriguez da Costa.
Now listen, this Da Costa, and I tell you what went to 1650. Then this brother would know 1650. Who takes that over? England under what financiers that we showed under the Cromwell bill? He takes it over under what? Jewish financiers. When they kicked out of temporarily in 1648, when they lose their stronghold in Brazil, they all run to Jamaica. They all run to Jamaica and the Carolinas and Massachusetts. We covered some of those people and we're going to cover them again. So the brother is right to say, yeah, this is why I say those people that are down there, I'm not going to say no names on this live, that run this, it's deep Jewish roots, Sephardic in Jamaica, Brazil, the Caribbean, the Carolinas with these surnames. And if you have those surnames and you're watching this, Remember this, the crypto Jew thing is to pop up with surnames. Surnames mean other things. You have to understand. Pratt means a trick. Ebenezer means a stone of cunning help, or like we got to understand that they talked and played games with the last names because they were always on the run. So when you get to the 1700s, you, like Max said, you don't get no Ashkenazi until late 1700s, early 1800s, which we're gonna have to double back and give you the verses. Oh, matter of fact, show them that page that just shows the verses. It's like a page 12, 13. No, matter of fact, it's page 15.
15.
And right there, page 15, Portuguese House of David, Sephardic Yahudi versus the Ashkenazi Khazars, King Bulan's bandits. Yo, Matt, take it back.
Yeah, that was fire.
Hey, real quick, shout out to George Myers for the super chat, man. The second super chat, man. Appreciate it.
Shout out to George. Shout out to George.
Shout out to George. I appreciate that.
In the chat, everybody is here.
Everybody that's here too. Yeah, that's tapped in watching us live. If you watching the after the fact, give us your comment and your feedback based off this bill. You know, of course, the title, you know what I mean, how Rome destroyed Israel, is to show, for one thing, funny enough, that, you know, I know today people say, and I'm not a Hebrew Israelite, this bill is not about us trying to tell everybody they're Hebrew Israelites or everybody's lineage is tied to this, right? But we just want to make sure you understand that we know that there's people in America who have a lineage tied to this. You know what I'm saying? And they're definitely not going to be described as pale-skinned people today. You know what I'm saying? And if certain names could have changed in certain things too, as Nine just explained, you know what I mean, because of what's going on. Because these people been, heritage-wise, been dealing with captivity and exile, you know what I mean, Gullah, for a minute now. And they just want redemption. You heard me? So some of us have it, some of us don't. You know what I mean? But they're definitely going to be tied to being called Negroes. So as people like to be like Pan-African about it, I'm going to be Negro about it. You know what I'm saying? And say that these people are definitely described like me. And that's all I really, and not distinguishing or, you know, trying to be rude to anybody else that, you know, obviously the Ashkenazi side that have their heritage intact from the time frame we showed it. You know what I'm saying? That is the facts. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? That's all we trying to point out. Like, we're not even trying to get caught up and trying to tell everybody you this or that. It's just the fact that the timeline to make sure that we understand intact who's who. So when Candace Owens said, oh, if people look like you, were Sephardic Jews are definitely moving around and financing things and doing things during the trades time frame. They were the middlemen a lot of times too, because they already had the networks and certain things already figured out before 1492. Why do you think the crowns had to pass these decrees to kick them out of their areas and seize their land and property? You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, when we have to be honest about history, these weren't pale-skinned people that these Roman people who are Germanic themselves are doing to these. You know what I mean? Like, no, that's not what's happening. So I think when she said it, obviously it's going viral, but we want to make sure that, you know, people get the distinctions out there, right? You know what I'm saying? So there it is. Judaism is just a survival system that came about and got concreted later on, but the people tied to the word Hebrew, and then Yisrael, Benai, Yisrael, tied to Jacob, and then his grandson Ephraim, who obviously takes on the leader of the 10 northern tribes, become dead actually during Assyria, but then actually after exile. Today we look at Judaism kind of pushes the term Israelite or the Vulgate or Septuagint, and I think that confuses people. But we're just talking strictly about what these people look like, and obviously that means Sephardic people at that time, they would not be classified today as the Ashkenazi people. And so we need to make sure that people have a distinction, because one of them have no ties to the slave trade at all. Slaving people or being enslaved. Cromwell's the one that allowed them to get back in position to even practice openly. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to be honest about the timelines when people talking about it, because most of our people like to use the Bible, try to reference Deuteronomy 28 for this time frame, when it's like, okay, so they were cursed, but the Sephardic Jews are running around moving like this. Come on, man. Make it make sense and do it from a historical standpoint. Final distinction is really there. And outside of that, the notes for this show, because we couldn't read through everything because there's a lot of notes here in this joint. We're going to drop them on the Patreon with the video. And shout out to Nan, Monte, and everybody that's tapped in with us tonight. You heard?
Hey, shout out to George Myers for doing a triple double. That boy ate us with 3 super chats in one sitting. That's pretty impressive, bro. Appreciate that, man.
Shout out to the bro.
Again, man.
Shout out to everybody on the path. We only doing this to show the truth of what's going on in that situation, and so that we could get a proper context and then show what really happened with the usurpation of that Sephardic. Where did they go on paper? Who got the estates today? Are the estates still alive? And are the Hasidics or Ashkenazis sitting in those estates? Those are the questions that Candace needs to ask. And when she gets an understanding of who funded the slave trade, but then what occurred 200 years right after that. Once history is corrected, redemption and restitution and reparations could be made. I'm gonna leave it like this. If you put the estates in its proper perspective, and you'll be able to do a reparatory and a restitution of those that were really enslaved by those that came. We showed the Johnson family had a couple slaves in there. The Johnson family estate back, and we'll give the reparatorial thing. And last but not least, if you're Pan-African, no disrespect, we want to help y'all with a Homestead Act back to Africa. Get with me. I'll be the first one to help you out. Petition up, Homestead Act, sign that up, do your thing. Homestead Act, right of return. Go ahead, man.
I support that, bro. Hey, shout out to Nicosia Lifestyle for the super chat.
You think Umar will go?
Hell nah.
50 acres.
He know what it look like.
I'm saying if it was homestead up, 50 acres, a allodial title.
Nope. 50 acres mean we need somebody to work it for you. You think they finna work for Umar in Africa?
That's a joke. That's a fantasy.
That'll be 18 acres. Yeah.
Hey, Dr. Umar should definitely, when he see what we talking about right now, if he was a Pan-African like he say he is, then he should be wanting to understand that these Sephardic Jews need to be put into his pantheon system of Africans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they was over there.
Like that.
Don't leave them out, Umar. Those are your people. They were in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
At least they was expelled there for a momentarily lapse.
Somebody said, I thought Umar liked the bunnies. That was funny right there.
yeah, maybe he could get, some head right system going on, indentured servants or something. Modern day. Y'all put your acres together, Jabari, all you brothers. We'll help you out.
Yeah.
And we'll get trade amongst indigenous and you repatriated Africans. Love y'all.
Yeah.
Real talk. I got to tell y'all for facts, though, script of the matter, that in the biblical book, Acts 13:1, Niger, Simon, all three Simons, but don't get them confused. But either way, they all are in North Africa and will be dark-skinned people. Niger is being tied to a cognomen dealing with dark-skinned people. And today we have a diversity of people in America with lineages tied to a cognomen of being considered dark-skinned. And that's a lot of different groups of people when we look to understand your genealogy and who was impacted by what they call today the slave trade era and were put into certain status positions tied to the term Negro. And the Asiento de Negro, you know what I'm saying? So the Negro de Terra, the Negro de Guinea, and obviously the El Negro. Going back to Niger, Simon. It's a consistency, and none of them people are pale skin. I don't think we've ever heard nobody say that Niger belonged to anybody being described that kind of way outside of what we call it today. You know what I'm talking about? Consistently. So, however, we appreciate y'all till next week, Sunday.
Shout out to Nico. Shout out to Nico on that $10.
Shout out to her, for real. Shout out to her for getting on the time.
Yeah. I always show love. Appreciate that love.
Appreciate you tapping in. Again, all the notes that we could not read from. So if y'all like to read all the stuff and the sources, the timelines and everything like that, it's going to be a collection made about, because there's a lot of information that I know, even this presentation and this bill we do, all the little details might not be put out. So I like to make sure the written part is there for you, because we are reading from a chronological timeline of things that we've gathered with information. So tap in with us on Patreon, Maroonville, you heard me. And we'll see y'all later until next week, Sunday. Or tap in us on Clubhouse or something when the rooms open up. Or
Facebook
social media
too.
Somehow. Facebook too. We see y'all.
TikTok.
TikTok. X. We might pop up on anything this week in the new year. Hey, at the new year, we might pop up the Maroonville anywhere on any of them platforms. So look forward to seeing that too. So with social engagement. But on Sunday, it's Sunday service. Shout out to the GMC. It's peace. 2026. We here. Tap in.
Yo. Shout out everybody. Holla.
Peace. We gone.
You never find a white aborigine. Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine.
Black leaves in the Mississippi River. Black leaves in the Mississippi fire. Black leaves in the Mississippi choir. Black leaves on the Mississippi land. And we've got and cotton, we've got sons and daughters, we've got grit and glory, we've got mother stories, we've got strength like towers, we've got hope and power.
God made woman with an iron hand, raised her up on heaven's land. God made woman with an iron hand, raised her up on heaven's land.
Strength like towers, we've got hope and power.
God made woman with an iron hand, raised her